Hello once again, everyone, and sorry for the very long absence. I had to run an event, and then it was the holidays, and videos may still be sporadic over the next couple weeks because of just the time of year. But we're back to getting more out of Thomas Page, and today it's a solo video because we're going to talk about the prelude to our next lesson. So we're going to talk about feints. Now, as far as feints go, nothing really terribly unique if you're already an experienced backsword fighter. It's pretty straightforward. Essentially, from your outside guard, all you need to do is make a brief transition to the inside, and you can sell this with more tools, and that's really the big takeaway, is normally if we're doing our feints out of medium, then you can just direct your tip wherever you want to go, or even if you're in the outside or inside guard respectively, it's shifting through the medium while lined up, for example, a one cut, and then popping forward an outside throw. When it comes to Page's posture, you have more tools with which to sell your feints. So if I'm in the outside guard, then when I transition as though I'm about to throw an inside, it's not just this. Because now this is not as centralized as our normal guards are. If I do that, I'm asking for my guard to be timed and get hit. That's not a good preparation. Instead, if I'm going to throw an inside, it should be that little transition from outside to inside to forward. That's what keeps me secure as I do this and makes it harder for my guard to be timed. This also has some slight attributes of if I want to add a little bit of juice with the heel of my hands, now my cut is getting more power because I'm essentially doing a quarter of a passing step, essentially, with my lunge. So I do get more lateral force as I do so. Now, along with this, because of that transition, you can make people believe more by one, letting your tip move, two, letting there be a little bit of activation with the shoulder and hip, and three, starting to cast that hand back. I've managed to get people to bite on just the backhand moving alone. Not that I think you should overemphasize that per se, but just more of you is moving. If you have a more structured lie, then the lie is in theory going to be harder to disprove. So, again, I'm in my outside guard, I transition to an inside, which would be my inside throw, but instead I throw an outside and return the same. Pretty straightforward. Here's that again. Outside guard, transition, throw the outside, return, and you'd Molinet if you hit arrow. Same idea the other way. I'm in my inside guard. Now this time, you have the option of broadening, which is a lot of fun. So normally I can just direct my tip over here, and because the inside guard is so much like our regimental posture, if I just hop, hey, that's great, that's wonderful, that's straight line, no fusses. But some people will have difficulty believing you. Or alternatively, if you're fighting against a left-hander, for example, their response to this feint is you want to get them to contract. A right-hander, because we're righty on righty right now, presumably, if you feint toward my outside, you want me to extend, and then you hit me here, right? But the problem with that is I hup, that's easy. Even if I have to break some rules, I can still catch it. Against a left-hander, on the other hand, you're trying to get them to make an overzealous inside guard as their first action, which is a little bit trickier. So the more you can get some lateral going in, the more likely they are to bend that elbow, and then they're never going to get back into extension. So, with that in mind, some more tools we can sell it with is don't just direct the tip, but also broaden the body. Letting that shoulder kind of start to come forward, but not to the point it compromises my next cut. So I don't want to have that causes sway, because then they can time my guard. So instead, just that idea of broaden fire. And I like to use my shoulders a lot for that. So here's that from the side, inside guard, broaden fire, broaden fire. Nice little straight up feint from outside to inside. Okay, wonderful. Nothing too different than what you've already done, just a couple new additions. What about hanging guard? Hanging guard's where it gets a little bit fun. So for here, and I'll also point out before we get to hanging guard, everything I just talked about can also be used as far as doing 4s and 3s. So for example, I'm an outside guard, I can feint to 1, fire a 4, or alternatively I'm an inside guard, I can feint to 2, fire 3, all standard. But as far as hanging guard, it's really about which side you want to drive them to, then shock the middle. So I'm in the hanging guard. I want to transition this around as though I'm going to do a one cut. So I drag the heel of my hand down, putting me into medium. Then I can go ahead and pop straight down the middle from that position. Essentially what this is exploiting is you have hanging guard as we know it, and then you have this unspoken overguard that's existed since people figured out one-handed swordsmanship. That, just cutting 12 to 6, is what we're using. The one thing to think, we're going to turn around from the wrist and keep it forward to fire an inside throw, but instead we bring it straight down, or alternatively you can bring it up and then let yourself lift, so make it like a 2, hit with the 7. So here's that again. I either bring it around town, straight down the middle, or I bring it up, straight down the middle, or you can also go from the other way. So I can go straight down the middle, widen, straight down the middle, widen. Just that little curve, essentially. In particular, going from a 7 to a 2, as we all know well, gets around that basket and exploits things wonderful, because most feints benefit from being backhanded as opposed to throwing toward the inside. But otherwise, as far as Page goes with his feints, that's about it. Nothing new to write home about, pretty standard fare. How this will be applied in with the rest of our lesson, you will see next time I film. But otherwise, thank you all very, very much for watching. Sorry for the long delay. I'll do my best to get another couple videos out this month. But we will go over some other techniques another time.